Hello, my name is Mitch and I draw Blood Force, and I'm going to attempt this without the fan today, so this might need to be a speed run out of necessity. But we are nearing the end of the Killer Instinct crossover. This is Killer Instinct Chapter 3 of 4, Wildcats number 7. And didn't exactly take us long to get here, did it? But if you enjoy the channel, or if you want to support me as an artist, please open up the description. There's a link there that'll take you to my Patreon. That's where all of the Blood Force stuff goes. That's where all these videos go before they get uploaded to YouTube, and that's where all the process stuff goes. So that's worth dropping a couple of bucks on if you'd like to help me out. But, as I said, we're doing Killer Instinct Chapter 3 today. So yeah, it feels like they wanted to make this kind of an epic team-up, crossover versus kind of thing. You know, I suppose it kind of should be, you know, the first meeting of Cyberforce and Wildcats, and they're gonna duke it out, and then they're gonna do the usual, where we're meeting for the first time, and you have powers too. That probably means we have to fight. Oh, you mean we're on the same side? My bad. That whole thing, you know, every time they gotta do it, and they didn't really expand on that at all for this, because you figure like this is the 5th issue in this crossover. I know the first 2 were prologues. They didn't really need to be. And really, I mean, it kind of feels like up until Cyberforce number 2, all we've really had is prologue. This is, because Cyberforce number 2 is when because that is still prologue. That's mostly origin story until the end, and then they finally get into a proper fight. So now, after 4 issues, finally, Riptide and Warblade have had their fight. And that's like the whole point of this fucking crossover. So, so now we'll see what happens after that. You know, this is going to be the one where Cyberforce fights Wildcats, and then the next one is where Cyberforce and Wildcats team up against Misery and Von Richthofen, if he's still around. Maybe he's not. I think he was dead before. So getting into the cover here, that's not a bad cover. That's one of the better Wildcats covers, I would say. I remember seeing this at the time and thinking, holy shit, that looks kind of badass. So, good job on that. Nice colors, too. They tend to go kind of passive on the colors. You know, you look at Wildcats 5 and 6, and it's kind of muted. It's not designed to jump out, certainly not by the color scheme, on the shelf that you buy it. Basically, you're supposed to see that logo, and you're supposed to equate in your brain, wait, I know that means Jim Lee. And then you look closer and yeah, okay, that looks like kind of like Jim Lee. He's not getting one of his flunkies to do a cover for him, so maybe he actually drew this one. But this one's actually kind of designed to pop, so good on that one. And we're keeping to our monthly schedule. Gotta give him props while he can. You know, I don't know how long it lasts. I can't imagine it's too long. But he does stay on as the main artist until like, I don't know, issue 14, something like that. It's a while. So he might do like a year or so. What are we on now? Issue 7? 7 issues in a year? That sounds about right for Wildstorm. All right, so looking at the cast of characters, Chris Iliopoulos back on the letter. Okay, so we're handing off from issue to issue. It's either Mike Heisler or it's Chris Iliopoulos. This time it's Chris's turn. I'm going to try and notice some of the lettering. The thing is that Chris Iliopoulos doesn't make it interesting when he's not doing Dragon. I feel like he's trying hard not to be noticed, but like there's like one superstar letterer at this time. Or one like image equivalent letterer in Chris Iliopoulos, because he's the guy whose style you can spot a mile away, and it's not versatile, and it's not, you know, it doesn't, he's not Todd Klein, where he can come up with a different looking kind of font for any occasion. You see it and you go, oh yeah, that's the typical Chris Iliopoulos rectangular sound effect design. But, you know, he's not doing it. He's doing like job letters on this. This is all very standard looking stuff. Boring. All right. So oh my God. Wow. Of course, we can't forget who's writing this. We got this gigantic shot of Stryker that's all arms. That can't have been fun to draw. And I don't know that it really looks all that great. It's just this wall of fucking Colossus coils. The shines look nice. There's some nice shinies in there. All right. So if we'll recall from Cyberforce 2, so much happened in Cyberforce 2, I feel like I need to give you guys a recap. Warblade and Ripclaw fought. That was the stuff that happened in real time. Nothing else did. And then Heatwave saved Ripclaw. Warblade floated away. And the team met up with Misery. At first, I thought maybe they missed the part where Heatwave and Psyblade and Striker should know Misery. I don't know about Impact. I don't think so. But no, they do mention it very briefly. You'd think they'd spend a bit more time on it, but that's fine. And so then they noticed that the Wildcats were there, and they thought they were a new kind of shock trooper because that's what Misery told them they were. So they're preparing for the drop here. That's what all of this is, by the way. This is all, yeah, like Brandon Choi doing his Tom Clancy technical jargon. And then a little bit of not even really backstory. It tries to act like it is. This is like typical for Brandon Choi. He's born a mutant with 4 arms. Okay, so he does normally have 4 arms. They weren't just like robotic arms built onto him. He learned early on in his youth to accept life's challenges and overcome them. That's redundant. To this end, he developed and nurtured his rather unusual trait to become one of America's elite soldiers, the best. That's redundant. This brought him to the attention of Cyberdata, who transformed the man into a cybernetic weapon of destruction, a shock. How? That is one of the things about the Cyberforce guys. Like, did they just cover his existing arms with metal? Anyway. But with the aid of a few friends, he escaped Cyberdata's clutches to become a founding member of Tiny Cyberforce. I feel like that should have been a little larger. So yeah, big double page spread. We don't see this very often from Jim, where he does the vertical double page spread. It feels like he's not too sure how to do it. Good shot of Striker at least. Impact's okay. And Heatwave's all right. Ripclaw, it feels like he's running out of room. And Velocity looks completely shoved in there. And that's like a Jubilee pose. That looks bad. It does not look good. And you compare that to what Mark did, again, in Cyberforce number 2. That's a little bit better. That's a little bit more... It's a very similar shot. We get the plane in the background and everything. But it's a bit more fleshed out. Yeah, it's not... It doesn't feel like it's trying its hard. It's weird. Alright, so Psyblade and Misery are going to sit up in their Quinjet. They're all Quinjets of some kind or another. And Misery's going to give her excuse-ridden story for why she's still alive. Which is, what was it? Warblade turned on them and thought he killed her, but he was wrong. I got away. That's about it. So they're searching the area for the Wildcats, but the Wildcats they're covert. That's part of their name, right? So they can't be found currently, although Ripclaw has their scent. So I guess that's part of his mutant thing. Decent shot with the Dutch angle. That looks pretty good, and you get that impact of them kind of coming in there. Also Dutch angle there, and all this great-looking fucking Jim Lee tech. That's a solid page. This is a weird kind of interjection thing. And then we get this thing with these drug dealers who are showing up in a speedboat, well, not like more like a hovercraft kind of thing, to do a deal out in the middle of the Gamoran Cemetery Island. And that's where Warblade fell off the cliff, of course, after Heatwave shot him. And he steals their hovercraft thing and then just takes off. Well, I guess he had to get somewhere somehow. To take a whole page doing it, though. Yeesh. Okay, so they're going to search what's left of the facility here. And Misery is using her power to make everybody stupid. So Striker's like, we should do a careful search of the area. Misery's like, there's no time, follow me. Which is never a good idea, is to just have a thing in there to make your characters dumb. because then you just don't care about what happens to your characters after that. But Stryker apparently has some sort of resistance against misery. And he's going to search a bit more carefully regardless. And apparently what happened is Spartan is hiding, and he can adjust his skin color and his uniform color, which could be part of his skin. I'm not even sure. To blend in with the snow or concrete of the background here. And he's, lowered his body temperature so that he wouldn't show up on thermal readers, that kind of thing. And he's going to pop out in a classic Jim Lee pose. This is one of Jim Lee's 999 poses, of which he will not expand upon. I had the sweat running down my face now without the fan going. Jesus Christ. All right, so he's going to pop out and blast Stryker with his bio blasts, whatever they are. And some good stuff going on this page here. I like this panel here and all this stuff going on. This is great, actually. And you get the Dutch angle again. And something about this action line, it feels like it adds momentum to this hit. So, and that's just a great shot, which finally has some fucking shadow. And this is the classic Jim Lee pose with the one knee up front, one knee behind, and the quick hatches to indicate it's more in shadow. But no, that looks great. And Velocity's going to come to Stryker's rescue. This is a thing where he can read that Misery's size signature is imprinted on his brainwaves. Okay, so he can tell that. That's handy. And so, yeah, Velocity comes to his rescue, and he shoots, pink spiderwebs at her. They're described as filaments. I don't know what the hell that's supposed to be. And I didn't know that he could do that. But all right. And Stryker gets the drop on him with the gun to the head here. It's always a little weird seeing Spartan with actual pupils. And then we get the cover shot only from a much worse angle. Where he's all, there's too much at stake for me to explain things. It's like, no, that's when you explain things, is when there's a lot at stake. You do it quickly, but that would help. That would be helpful. But look at how that looks compared to that, obviously this is the cover. This is the amped up version, but amped up from next to nothing. That's not a strong panel design. Have they done a similar angle even? I don't know. That there's elements on this that again feel like Jim's phoning it in or trying to rush things to try and keep that monthly schedule. That could be the case. There's not a lot going on in these backgrounds at all. Some of this stuff, but for the most part, yeah, and of course that one. Even this isn't too in depth, So now we're going to get Maul versus Impact, which is what everybody wants to see. Maul was apparently hiding under rubble. Sure. I would think Stryker's thermal stuff could have seen that, particularly if Maul's big. Maybe he shrunk himself down so far he was like the atom. And yeah, they're going to get in a big old punch fest here. That's nice. Rip off some of the debris and slam him with it. It's good stuff. And yeah, and Maul's going to grow till 5 times the size of Impact. And that should that should kind of swing things in his favor. All right, so now we're going to cut to New York, where Emp is worried about what's going on with the Wildcats, but he can't ignore what's going on with his business stuff. He's got to run his business. That's this whole page here. All the exposition here, that's all that is. And then we get a brief transition about how Adriana and Pris are doing. And Pris is Voodoo, of course. Everything must be high-tech. That's how you fill up the detail, is make things high-tech. It looks good. I can't shit on it. I should be trying to steal it, is what it is. And this stuff all looks very good. It doesn't look quite right the way he lets it just trail off. He shouldn't have done that. If he just finished it, Like, that almost would have looked like some Mobius-looking shit. With how detailed that got, but oh well. So now we're going to cut to Void and Voodoo. And Voodoo is having concerns because she actually got injured on the last one, and this is the first mission where she's gotten injured. This is just her second mission, to be honest. And I'm a little surprised she didn't get injured in the last one. But, yeah, so she's like, oh man, I didn't want to die and all that stuff. And Void kind of gives her a listening ear kind of thing. I think this is Void kind of being a therapist kind of thing. And it's like, no, it's understandable. We're here for each other. We all work together. That kind of thing. I don't think this is setting up, this is trying to set up anything between Voodoo and Void, which did happen occasionally around this time. I mean, gay stuff was starting to become fashionable, and you'd see it dropped into comics at the time, or, TV shows, movies, whatever. And not necessarily with any kind of tact, But I don't think that's what this is. I think this is just, her being a shoulder. And Voodoo just happened to be wearing a see-through nightie for it, I think that was a case of Jim Lee going, I only get to draw Voodoo once in this entire issue. I'm going to make it look as sexy as I can. And damn the context. All right, so cut to Orbit. And so this is aboard Skywatch with the Stormwatch team. Because over in the Stormwatch series, Stormwatch is also supposed to be on Gamora, battling their government or whatever. They're wreaking havoc on their side of things. And so naturally, Weatherman has his eyes on the island, and he notices all this other shit going on. And he recognizes Stryker, apparently, and Cyberforce, but he's not familiar with WILDCATS. So this is his first real good look at them. So this is trying to make the Wildstorm universe something of a cohesive whole. Which, I mean, good fucking luck. But, why not? And, yeah, Weatherman's going to talk to Agent Booth here, which I assume is Brett Booth. In drag. This is a classic Jim Lee high-tech helmet thing. Which is sort of a watered-down Weapon X helmet, I think. It's not bad, though. It looks good. All this stuff looks all... Like, the Skywatch here looks great. I just kind of wish Jim hadn't decided to put the screen doors in space. It stands out. And I guess that's the sun. So we're all gonna die. That's a shame. And we get a gigantic splash page of Cannon, which we already got in Stormwatch number 2. We got a double splash page on that. Just the binders fucked it up. And Cannon has a solution. He's going to go fly down with Stormwatch 2, and he's going to capture Cyberforce and Wildcats and hand them over to the Gamoran government and say, hey, no hard feelings. We fucked up. Here, have these terrorists that were operating on your island as sort of a sign of good faith. How about our guys back? And at least to Brandon Choi's credit, Weatherman says that's stupid and turns away. Good splash page, though. Again, all that meaningless tech in the background. Just filling it up. Man, that is a skill in itself. I try doing this stuff, and it's like I'm like 50% there. And like, man, how much more do I have to do? You have to do a lot, and it's got to be exact, and you got to use rulers and know when to not use rulers, and just kind of have a mind for how it all hooks together, and I just don't have it. I can do an okay job faking it. That's about it. And we're gonna get a Spartan pinup by Travis Charest. Yep, that's Spartan. Not doing anything, but I mean, that can be the Travis Charest way, is to just have a dude standing and still go, yeah, it looks all right. That hair got very thick there. It's odd. And we got Gen 13 coming out. It looks like and again, they've got the adapted font where they had the font all set up for Gen X. And then last minute, nope, can't do that. Got to sub in something that looks lame. Okay, we'll do that then. And okay, so back to the fight. Maul is handling Impact fairly well. Grifter's watching. And Heatwave flies in to attack him. Not a great pose here. I don't know. And Grifter gets blasted, but apparently, I guess not too hard, and falls and breaks his neck, apparently. Or sounds like he breaks his neck anyway. And Heatwave pops down and, good Lord, what have I done? And they have a quick 10-second exchange where Heatwave could have done something else, but that didn't happen. Where I guess we learned that Grifter can break his neck if he feels like it, and he'll be fine. But luckily he set his turbo pistols to stun, and he's gonna shoot Heatwave point blank here. So who's been knocked out? I guess Velocity, and Heatwave, and now we're gonna get Psyblade versus Zealot. And Gimli is just not having it with backgrounds in this bit. Again, screen doors. I'm trying to make the monthly schedule. It's important this time, guys, okay? And Zealot takes her out somewhat easily, though not as easily as she says, because, she keeps saying how I've got like 1,000 years of combat experience, and it's like, okay, then you probably should have taken her out a lot easier than that. And we get what I feel like should have been a much more advertised shot here. Maybe it's a little bit too much focus on the boobs. They didn't really want to do that. But, it's a pretty good shot and kind of hot. So, yeah, but no, apparently they didn't really want to do anything with that. And while she's dealing with Psyblade, Ripclaw sneaks up on her. She got snuck up on by Psyblade back here. So, again, you're not that good, apparently. And that foot's at kind of a tough angle, but it looks all right. It's a good job on that. So he gets the drop on her, and she counters by stabbing him through the bicep. That's gross. And then big lunging double swipe. Good panel. Very crisp looking inking. They wanted to make sure they got this right. Because again, this is the kind of thing they can reprint as an ad for something. And again, with the elongated face a little bit, looking like Scott Clark. And, yeah, so Zealot's taken out of the picture, apparently. That didn't take too long. And now Misery and Ripclaw have made it to the basement of the facility where this pod thing was that would originally shot Grifter. Remember that? And she's going to open it up, and that's apparently where all that Spartan tech is, where they can make clones and, robot clones of people. And the first person that they're going to clone is Dr. Eric Richtofen. So she's going to bring him back to life. That's the person she's really in love with because he, made it so she was not dead again. Isn't that nice? But while they're busy focusing on the tech, they didn't notice somebody lurking behind the wall. Isn't that always the way? Who could it be? Who else with knife hands could it be? It's probably Freddy. Oh, it's Warblade, and Jim is going to go all out on this one. That's all right. Although he says that they're going to sell the busy units to the Daemonites and breaks up the momentum so that he can get one last bit of acronym in there. Unfortunate. But yeah, no, Jim Lee is not, he's not skimping on the backgrounds in this one at least. Because this is another big vertical double page spread that we're not familiar with from Jim. But goddammit, he's going to make it look good. It doesn't look bad. And don't miss the thrilling conclusion to the Killer Instinct crossover in Cyberforce number 3. Cyberforce number 3, coming soon. What makes this a good read is that it is realistic, even to the smallest details. And they're quoting it like it's a pull quote. All right. And yeah, that should do it. This is Wildcats 10, 11, and 12 coming up soon. I think that story ran for 4 issues, though. Maybe they kind of ran over time. But this is the Chris Claremont thing, where they're finally realizing, oh shit, Brandon Choi can't get it done. All right. And that's it for Wildcats number 7. Yeah, again, not a ton happened. This is finally the fight issue. You think about like how little happens in these books. You know, like nothing happened in the prologue episodes. I mean, you know, at least the Wildcats got in fights. Although both Wildcats 5 and 6 felt like prologues, where, you know, they go to a facility. Wait, who's this mystery woman? And then, oh, wait, Warblade knows her, and they get in a fight, and the place blows up. They leave, they go back. That's all that happened in 5 and 6. And now in 7, they fought again. And, yeah, man, you think there'd be something a bit more intricate happening, but then you remember, oh, wait a minute, this is from the writing team that brought us Wildcats, where there was like this political thriller with moles, like interstellar moles. And, oh, there's a rogue kind of a guerrilla team that's been fighting against the bad aliens for millennia. And we wrap that up in 4 issues. And then on the other side of things, we get the whole thing with an underground team fighting against an evil corporation that's making, you know, cyber soldiers and stuff. And we also get Mother May-I, and she's starting a mutant revolution because mutants have to do with cyber people somehow. And all this, you know, again, intrigue, and again, 4 issues. I got wrapped up in 1 page on that one. But, yeah, like at least we're getting the fights now. We're still getting a fair amount of exposition. Probably too much. Here, let's run into there. Why not? But, yeah, so we will wrap it up next time with Cyberforce number 3. I wonder what'll happen. I'm sure there'll be just a ton of plot development, and that's going to be like a 45-minute episode where I go over all the intricacies and the plot twists. But in the meantime, thanks very much for watching this video. If you liked it, please hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notifications. Go follow me on Twitter. More importantly, go to my Patreon and subscribe there. That's where all of these videos go before I upload them to YouTube. That's where all the Blood Force pages go, as well as all the process stuff and any Patreon exclusives. So well worth checking out. But yeah, thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.